Welcome to Commander's Comments. I'm your producer for the evening, Harrison Daws, and allow me to introduce our stacked group of co-hosts joining me tonight. First, our Commander-in-Chief, Walter D. Donnie Kennedy.
Greetings.
Our Lieutenant Commander-in-Chief, Tony Griffin.
How y'all doing?
Our Chief of Heritage Operations, Paul Graham. And I almost said Alabama, and I think Michael would have just thrown a football at me. Texas Division Commander, Machael Hurley.
Hey, it's Machael Hurley. Hi, everybody from Texas.
Okay, I do deserve to get kicked out of the national reunion now this year. Yeah, that's fair enough.
Hey, that wasn't the rankest thing you've said lately, so we'll let it pass. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to be with y'all, and I want to thank Harrison. He did not introduce himself properly. Harrison Daws is our Deputy Chief of Heritage Operations for the Sons of Confederate Veterans, and Harrison has done yeoman's duty in getting this comment, SCV chat, and all the other around the Confederation. He and Connor Bond have done an excellent job. So kudos to you, sir. Thank you, sir. I appreciate everything you do. And I really appreciate the gentleman here with me tonight. I want to start out with first, let's get Commander Machael Hurley from Texas to give us an update on our annual reunion. Michael, which one is this? Number what is this reunion? I forget.
Commander, it is the 130th annual national
100?
reunion. Yes, sir.
Great. Well, can you just kind of bring us up to snuff what's going on and some of the things that people might need to know in order to get down to Houston and have a great time? I almost said a gay old time, but that would either make me a weird fella or an old fella. And I promise y'all, I'm just a weird old fella. That's how it is. Go ahead, Michael.
Thank you, Commander. So first, folks, when I jumped on the broadcast, I realized I was the only one not in a tie or yoked up. So I apologize for that. But you're catching me at the end of a workday. Most of you know I live in Tyler, Texas, which is in East Texas, but I'm self-employed and I work every Thursday in Dallas. So you're catching me right after work. And I'm actually coming to you live from the Riverside Church of Christ in Coppell, Texas, where we practice every Thursday night, about 150 of us, with the vocal majority, a barbershop chorus. And so as soon as I finish this presentation, I'm going right downstairs to join the chorus. If you hear a little bit of singing, I'm pretty far away from them, but that's what that is. So let me give you an update on the coming reunion, because obviously as the chair of this year's reunion, I am super stoked about the opportunity to have all of you see our beautiful home here in Texas. And I really thought, what was the best way to describe what's in store for you? And I think that one of the things I'd like to start with is to really help you understand. I have been amazed, folks, when I'm in South Carolina, for example. I work with a company out of Columbia, South Carolina. And when I go to meetings in South Carolina, I'm always amazed at how little people from other areas of the South really know about Texas. And so I wanted to give you just a little bit of a taste of who we are as a people, because I know this reunion is going to be a wonderful, unique opportunity to experience a part of the South that maybe some of you have never experienced before. Texas truly has a unique and special heritage. Really, I can only think of one, that would be Louisiana, that could rival it in its uniqueness. Louisiana also has a very unique culture among our southern states, but Texas is no exception. And of course, being a Texan, I believe we have the greatest of cultures. But I wanted to share with you a little bit of some of the things you're going to encounter in Texas, that while we're definitely a part of the South, we are unique among southern states. So let me give you first just a little bit of information. The reunion will be held in mid-July in Houston, Texas. And to give you a little bit on the demographics, we are different in demographics than other areas of the South. For example, Houston itself has 7.6 million people in the Houston metro area. Generally, when we think about the South, we think of Atlanta as being the largest and most influential city in the South. But the reality is Atlanta is about 6.3 million. So Houston is a larger city. It's not necessarily a good thing, but what I will say clearly is that at the Texas border, the Atlanta influence ceases. And we have the fourth largest city in the country, Houston, Texas, where we're going to be hosting the reunion this year. Our demographics are laid out a little bit different than other states in the South as well. And I think that's important to note as you consider our culture. For example, in general, we're about 45% Caucasian. We have about 15 to 18% African American and roughly 32 to 35% Hispanics here in Texas. And that's not something entirely new. You know, we hear so much on the news right now about everybody crossing the border. Really, our Hispanic influence in Texas goes back as old as Texas itself. Most of you are aware Texas was a part of Mexico originally, and you're going to find Hispanic influences everywhere you look when you come and visit us here in Houston. And that is unique. You don't find that in other areas of the South like you do here in Texas. So demographically, we're a little bit different. And of course, Texas is a very, very large state. Guys, just to give you an idea, we're the only state in the country where you can start at mile marker 1 and be at mile marker 800 and still be in the state of Texas. We are the largest state in the Confederacy and the second largest state in the United States, as we all know, second only to great big Alaska. But I dare you to try to drive from one end of Alaska to another. Probably not possible. But we're a very large state, and we're unique in our demographics. Secondly, we're unique in our history. I think most of you are well aware that Texas, all of us being history buffs, was formerly its own republic. We had our own constitution, our own presidents for 9 years prior to becoming a part of the Union in 1845. And as a matter of fact, here in a moment, when I talk about the tours, we actually are going to have a tour at the reunion of the historic San Jacinto battleground, which was where Texas won its freedom and its independence from Mexico. And again, I'll tell you a little bit more about that. And Texas also negotiated when we became a part of the Union back in 1845, and we're the only state by law that is allowed to fly her state flag at the same level as the country's flag. So I thought that was unique. We have a unique history, and that's one of the many things that contributes to people both loving and hating Texans, because we take so much pride in being from Texas. But I think it starts and it stems from being an independent nation many, many years ago, and it just kind of is instilled in all of us. So we get to experience some of that history by going to San Jacinto. Next is the food. You know, when it comes to barbecue, I love all barbecue. Give me some wonderful South Carolina pulled pork any day of the week. But I want to remind you, here in Texas, we really focus on beef brisket and beef ribs. And of course, we do have pork. But to be honest, I don't think our pork measures up to what they have in other areas of the South. But I challenge anybody who loves barbecue to find better brisket than you'll find in the state of Texas. And then, as I mentioned earlier, our Hispanic influence has created a whole genre of food, the Tex-Mex food that you'll get to sample. Really, our Tex-Mex is so influential in our state that you'll sample it in breakfast and lunch and dinner and even in desserts. You'll find unique foods here in Texas. And so I said all this to be able to encourage you to come and experience perhaps a culture that you've never experienced before. For those of you that live around us in surrounding states, I know you have experienced it. But for those in the deep South, or those all the way out, Virginia, North Carolina, Maryland, South Carolina, why not come this summer and experience a unique culture? Now, having said that, let me specifically give you some details on the reunion, because I'm super excited about it. And the thing I want to start with is reminding you of the two major tours that we have. The first tour I've already touched on, but we're going to have a guided tour to the San Jacinto battlefield. And one of the things I like about the location of our hotel is we're only about 15 to 20 minutes from the actual battlefield site. And you'll be able to travel there where state game wardens that man the state park there are going to lead us. And we've got a special tour of the museum inside the monument. By the way, our obelisk, the monument at San Jacinto, is the largest obelisk in the United States, even larger than George Washington's obelisk that's located in Washington, D.C. But that obelisk at the top, of course, with the Texas Star, has a museum in its base. And not only are we going to be able to go into the air-conditioned museum, and that's important because you're coming to Texas in July, but we've made arrangements to have some of the battle flags that they keep in their collection that are not normally on display pulled for us to see. Now, let's remember, the San Jacinto battle was for Texas independence well prior to the war for Southern independence. But we've got heavy emphasis, I've made this point with our tour guides, very heavy emphasis on emphasizing the leaders that were at San Jacinto who later became extremely influential in leading our Confederate troops in Texas. And I've been amazed just how many of our Confederate colonels and generals were first at San Jacinto. So we're definitely going to tie it in, but you get to walk the same field where Sam Houston and his brave Texans overwhelmed Santa Anna and captured him, and Santa Anna signed the papers later to allow Texas to be an independent republic. Really didn't have any choice. Either sign the papers or go meet the Lord. But we're going to take a tour of San Jacinto, and these are all on air-conditioned buses. I really think that's important to emphasize because we do have our heat here in Texas in July, and I've been very cognizant of that with everything that I've planned out for our reunion. Our second tour is the one that's really the grand tour of them all. It has 3 different pieces to it. So first, we're going to take air-conditioned buses down to Galveston. Galveston is about a 30 to 40-minute drive. It depends on the traffic. We won't have to worry about the traffic because we're not driving. But down to Galveston, where we're going to have a tour of the actual battle sites where the Battle of Galveston took place. I'm glad to tell you, if you don't already know, that was a Confederate victory. But we're going to tour some of the sites there and some of the damage that can still be seen in the buildings that are still standing down in the historic area of Galveston, commonly known as the Strand. And that's a guided tour with a gentleman that's a member of the SCV who's written a book on the Battle of Galveston. And that's a battle that many are not familiar with. And we're super anxious to share that with you. Following that, we're going to the local library where, once again, we've made arrangements to have Confederate battle flags pulled out of storage for us to see on our tour that even I have never seen before because they're not normally on display at the library. Following that, we're moving on to dinner. We're having a dinner overlooking the battleship Texas, which will be almost finished with its refurbishment. It's going to be sitting just outside the hotel. We'll have the views of the Texas while we eat a seafood dinner. And I want you to know that's a top-of-the-line dinner. As a matter of fact, about 65% of the cost of the tour alone is in the dinner that we've picked out for you. It's going to be top rate. I'm hoping 4 or 5 stars. I'll let you be the choice of that. Now, that'll get us late into the evening. When I say late, about 7 o'clock. And we're going to get back on the air-conditioned bus, and we're going to travel over to the historic cemeteries of Galveston, and we're going to have a twilight tour of the cemeteries. Now, the cemeteries, there are 7 of them in Galveston, but they are almost inseparable. When you approach the area, it looks like one large cemetery. Now, if you're not familiar with what happened in Galveston, I'll be very brief here. But what happened was there were terrible hurricanes that almost destroyed the city. And I believe the year was 1906 when the last great hurricane hit. And the fathers of Galveston at that time pulled off an engineering miracle. And they literally raised the entire city about 8 feet higher than it had been previously. And the cemetery was no exception. And you'll be able to walk through that cemetery, see Confederate generals, Confederate colonels, and our beloved everyday hardworking Confederate enlisted men that are buried there. But you'll also be intrigued to find that some of these graves have never been, if families weren't around when they elevated the cemetery, then the tombstones may only be showing at the very top at ground level, but yet the stone itself might be 8 feet long. I don't know if that's making sense, but they raised the cemetery 8 feet high as well. And some of the families who no longer live there didn't pay to have the stones raised. And so you can see just the top of some of the stones. It's just a really unique cemetery tour. And then, of course, our travel back to the hotel in Houston, once again on air-conditioned buses. So I wanted to highlight those for you. Other things I want to make you aware of is the opportunity, as all reunions present, for us to be able to fellowship with our compatriots from all the different states that are represented. And not only that, I don't know about you, but I always get a tremendous amount of help when I get to talk to commanders or adjutants, for example, from other states and other camps, and we can share best practices over lunch or perhaps over a refreshment after the business meetings. I just think there's so much into coming and being a part of this reunion, and I just can't encourage everyone here enough to start sending your registrations in. I know they're going to be coming in large numbers, but they haven't been doing much but trickling in so far. By the way, give you a few numbers. We're at 75 who have registered. I've got 9 vendors who have registered. So I know that we've got several hundred more that are going to be coming, and I'm encouraging you to do that as soon as possible. I know everything has a cost, but I want you to really know I worked very hard to get our costs lower in every category than we had last year, and certainly lower than what you're going to see next year when we go to Kentucky. And by the way, that's not being a criticism of Kentucky at all. I can hardly wait for that event. I'm just saying we were fortunate to be able to negotiate a contract where we're able to pass some savings on to you over what we've seen in the years past. So the point is, if we're holding back because of money, it's not going to be any cheaper in May or June than it is right now. Just go ahead, make that sacrifice, get your registration in, and help the Texas Division as we approach this wonderful, wonderful event. Now, as I end, I've got 3 tips for you. And one of them is major importance. So number 1, remember me telling you about the size of Houston. Compatriots, I want you to know that we actually have 2 major airports in Houston. The largest of the 2, our international airport, is the George Bush International Airport. It's about a 45-minute drive from the hotel location. So I would encourage you, if you're going to fly in for this reunion, to book your flights through the other airport, which is just a mile or so from the hotel's location, and that is Houston Hobby. Houston Hobby. So gentlemen, if you can't get a tremendous deal, that's the only reason I would consider making that 45-minute trip through Houston traffic over to the hotel. But you'll find, I really encourage you to look first at the rates if you're flying in to Hobby. Oh, and good news, Southwest flies to Hobby. That's their hub in Houston for Southwest. So typically Southwest is very competitive on flight arrangements. So if you're flying in from out of state, please remember, look at Houston Hobby first. You won't regret it, just because the hotel is very close and has a free shuttle back and forth to the airport itself. Second tip is to make sure, if you're interested in the tours, to go ahead and book those. I have 2 buses for each tour, and this is based on the number that we've had in the past. But right now I have 100 spots open on each tour. So I suspect that the tours are going to close. I don't know how long it'll take, but I do think they'll both sell out. And if it happens extremely early, I may look at opening it up to a larger number. But right now we have 100 for each tour. So if you have an interest in seeing San Jacinto, if you have an interest in going to Galveston, hearing about the Battle of Galveston, don't hesitate. A tip is go ahead and make your reservation while you can. And then the third tip is simply this. How would I want to close? I would say, I know this is not an election year, but think of the good that you can do by coming to Texas, encouraging your fellow compatriots, being a part of getting to hear what Donnie Kennedy has to say as our new commander-in-chief in the business sessions that are going to lead us for the next year, getting that opportunity to fellowship with men of common love and concern for our future, and just come and be a part of helping this be one of the most fun reunions we've had in many, many years. And that's my spiel. I hope all of you come. Our website, www.scv130.com. This is the 130th reunion, so it's scv130.com.
Good enough. Thank you, Commander Hurley. And that URL has been on the it's been scrolling across the whole time. So anybody can write it down and they can get, and we really appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to being in Texas. So thank you a lot. And as I told you, you need to go ahead and get back to your acapella singing, which I'm sure y'all acapella since you're a good Campbellite. So
that's right. Yes, sir. Definitely acapella. And as you can tell, fellas, I am not a bass. I'm a tenor.
Good.
Thanks, everybody. I hope to see you in Houston. You won't regret it. We're going to have a blast. Woohoo!
Thank you, Commander.
Commander.
Take care,
Appreciate
guys.
it. All right, gentlemen, let's move on the agenda. I need to talk about some upcoming events. We're going to quickly run over what's coming up in the SCV that I have on the list. And I'm going to run through my list, and Commander Griffin and Graham, if y'all have anything to add, and Moose, if you have anything, by all means, when I get through, let's add it in there and let people know. This is just a list that been compiled through headquarters and my little black book that I keep things on. So February the 8th, that's coming up this weekend at headquarters. There'll be the Metcalf officers call will be at headquarters on February the 15th. Man, this is going to be a sweet deal. We've got the Valentine's dessert party at Elm Springs, and Adam Southern is giving a tour of Elm Spring also. I hate that I'm gonna miss it, because if there's anything I love, it's dessert. But I'll miss it because I'll be in Monroe, Louisiana at our Mardi Gras parade. And I want to invite every SCV member that's not going to be at Elm Springs to come on and march. You can carry a flag, you can ride on a wagon, you can float, or you can ride in an automobile, or you can march and with our units. Come on down. You will be surprised and impressed at the enthusiasm that's expressed. Anywhere from 100 to 200,000 spectators on the streets from West Monroe to Monroe. And, you're going to get your occasional bad sign. People don't understand a finger sign, so they'll give you the wrong sign. But they're overwhelmed by the positive response, and it's televised also. It's a good publicity for the Sons of Confederate Veterans and a lot of fun. So on Monroe, Louisiana, you can get in touch with the Thomas O. Benton Camp in Monroe, Louisiana, and Thomas Taylor will help you out there, and they'll get you lined up for that. That's February the 15th. That's on a Saturday. On March the 8th, we'll have a GEC meeting, gentlemen, in headquarters, and the museum will be open. Y'all come on down. As you know, members should know this. All members of the SCV are welcome to be in our meeting, because this is the meeting for the organization, the General Executive Council meeting. If we have special things that needs to be said more or less confidentially, we'll go into executive session, but that rarely happens. And if it happens, it's usually not that long of an event. But we will have the GEC meeting. That's on March the 8th. On March the 15th, the Tennessee Division has a workshop at headquarters in Columbia, Tennessee. On March the 29th, the Confederate Legion will have a training session. Now, we've been talking, and we'll talk some tonight, about how do we get our information out to the general public. And we're going to talk about that at this training session. Ron will be doing one of the lectures. I'll be doing one of the lectures. Also, Paul Graham will be giving lectures. We've got a special booklet for everyone that attends. They'll get the booklet that talks about how do we get our information out to John Q. Public and let the world know who we are and what we are all about. And the museum will also be open on that day. On May the 3rd, there's a pilgrimage at headquarters. That's our annual SCV pilgrimage, and they've got a dynamic speaker there by the name of Ron Kennedy. He'll be bringing the message for us at the event. So that's May the 3rd, SCV annual. That is an annual event, a pilgrimage to headquarters. So by all means, y'all come on down. Adam also wanted to let y'all know that starting in May, we do a lot of bus tours coming through headquarters. Now, these tours, folks, this is very important, because this is bringing people in who never have heard of the Sons of Confederate Veterans. They have no idea about who we are. They get to walk through Elm Springs and our beautiful museum. And when they go through there, they'll have a different view of what we are about and why we are proud to be Southerners and why they should be proud. And this entails, if the more advertising we do for the Sons of Confederate Veterans, and this is advertising that's in magazines and in radio and TV and on social media, that sparks interest and people will want to come in and do bus tours. So by all means, starting in May, we'll have the bus tours. I'm going to back up because I do believe, if I remember correctly, on May the 3rd, at the pilgrimage, SCV pilgrimage, Ron will be speaking, but they'll also have a car show, an antique car show going on at the same time. So it's going to be a dual thing. We're going to have a car show. And if y'all were there the last couple of times, this is very interesting event. We'll see some of the older cars that we grew up with. And I know Paul, he don't remember some of these old cars since he's a young man, but and I'm sure Harrison has no idea. Harrison, anything that was over made before 2000 is just antiquated junk, But they had good cars back then, Harrison. Really good. On July the 26th, they'll have another Rebel Rouser cruise in there at headquarters. So that's what's going on in headquarters. Now, I've got a couple events that's going to happen in the armies. Now, Tony, Paul, Harrison, do y'all have any events that you would like to announce right now? Do y'all have anything?
March 1st, we have our Confederate Flag Day event in Oakwood Cemetery. Besides that, we're also dedicating the Texas Monument there that Commander Hurley brought back in November, and all the stones we put in the last year. And then on April 2nd, we have the annual A.P. Hill event at his death site. And Patrick Falsey, who portrayed A.P. Hill in the movie Gettysburg, is always there. So that'll be that day.
Yeah. Now, give me those dates and where are they going to be? Right. One more time.
Confederate Flag Day at Oakwood Cemetery in Richmond. 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Right.
Okay, that's easy to find. Just Google it. You can find it on maps. And then April 2nd at noon, I believe it is, at near Pamplin Park at A.P. Hill's death site we have the annual service up there.
Okay, good enough. All right, thank you. I appreciate it, Commander. Harrison, Paul, either one of y'all have anything?
Nothing that's soon.
Okay.
The Mississippi Division has 2 great events going on in February. February 8th is a division training seminar for camp officers, division officers, brigade officers, but it's open to every member of the SCV that just wants to get more involved or figure out what they can do more as an individual member. Our speaker for that event is past Commander-in-Chief Jason Boshears. The information for that event is on the Mississippi Division website, and as well as you could contact me for any information. And then on February 15th and 14th, there is the pilgrimage to the Tomb of the Unknown Confederate Soldier at Beauvoir. The 14th will be the banquet. Social hour starts at 6 at the Beauvoir, the Presidential Library in the Beauvoir room. Food starts at 6:30. And then, of course, that Saturday at 11 a.m., we will have, of course, the ceremony to honor all of the unknown Confederate soldiers out there. And you get to come and experience an event that only happens at officially recognized Tombs of the Unknown Soldiers. This is an event that happens in Arlington and across the U.S. at official recognized sites. So that puts our Confederate boys, our unknown Confederate boys, in the public eye in a big way. And we'd really appreciate if y'all came. Again, you can contact me at Harrison SCV on Facebook if you would like to get the tickets and to get the worksheet to fill out. The due date to get everything in is this February 8th at the end of business at 5.
Okay, good enough. All right, thank you, gentlemen. I do have a couple of Army events on April the 5th at Mansfield State Park in Mansfield, Louisiana, which is just south of Shreveport. That's where the Battle of Mansfield was fought, and we kicked Yankees' butt right out of there. Richard Taylor was involved there. The ATM will be having a get together there. It's a social event as well as an educational event. They've got speakers be talking about the various battles and leaders from Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Missouri, and a great event. It's kind of a get together. I call it an extended picnic because you can bring your own picnic basket, bring your own cooler, bring your own beverages, non-alcoholic beverages. This is a state park, remember, folks. This is one of those state parks that is very, very SCV Confederate friendly. So you're on the grounds of the actual battlefield. So that's on April the 5th, and you can check with the Army commander or check with the councilman and get information from them about the Army of Trans-Mississippi. And that's coming up April the 5th. Now, April the 25th over in Stone Mountain, Georgia, this is a major event over there in that Army. And I would hope that nationally we'd get people from all around the Confederation to attend to this event. Remember, the woke people in the Atlanta area, they are still trying to either, number one, destroy that monument, but if not destroy it, they want to take it over and conceptualize it into what they want it to be. And we're fighting very hard to keep it. The people in Georgia are doing a great job so far in maintaining that effort, but we need to show our support by people from everywhere across the Confederation, from California to Michigan to Maryland, Florida, you name it. We need to be there at Stone Mountain. That's on April the 26th.
Is there a time?
It starts that morning at around 9 o'clock, and that's at Stone Mountain, Georgia. And also in Petersburg, Virginia, on May the 26th, at Blandford Church, they're having a memorial service there, and I'll be speaking there. And by all means, if you've never been to Blandford Church, Tony, tell them just a little bit about that church. What's so unique about it?
Well, the church itself has Tiffany windows in it from every Confederate state, and when the sun's shining through them, it's awesome looking. And also, the ceremony's held on the hill where the mass mound of the Confederate soldiers are buried. There's about 30,000 buried in there, and we'll all be up on the speaker stand right there with the crowd out in front of us on the hill. And it's an excellent ceremony. I've spoke at it several times, and I plan on being there this time. So everybody come if you can.
Come on. I'd love to see you there, and I'm looking forward to it. I've been there several times, spoken once before, and toured the church. And it is, and the interesting thing, if y'all don't know, different times of day you look at that Tiffany glass, and it looks different. It's different color coming through there, depending on cloud cover, the position of the sun, etc. So it is absolutely, and they're all Tiffany glass. This is not. It's impressive, very impressive. On February the 20th to the 23rd, this is not SCV, but Ron and I will be speaking at the Abbeville Institute. They have they're having a program, New South and the Future South, and I'll be speaking on the subject line, The Future is Now. And so come on down to the Abbeville, and those folks are great people to work with. So that's all I have now for events. And Harrison, if you want to take a quick pop-top break, and we can do that when we come back, we'll finish up with quite a few other little items here on the agenda. Is that okay with you, sir?
Yes, sir. And real quick, gotta pay some bills. Our Pop-Tart break is, of course, sponsored by scvchat.com, our website. You can go and get a lot of exclusive content, as well as watch our episodes and find some hidden gems, I think, in the SCV Chat library. Again, that is scvchat.com. You can explore it and find a lot of great things there. Now, also, I'd like to promote our Patreon. For just $10 a month, you can help SCV Chat stay on the air, and you get exclusive content like the Moosehead Book Club, our after shows, and, of course, some hints at future projects that we're hoping to be releasing very shortly that is going to make a big splash or two. So make sure for just $10 a month, you can help SCV Chat stay on the air, run ads, and do so many great things for the Southern cause. So we will be right back after this Pop-Tart break.
There is a place nestled in the rolling farmland of southern Middle Tennessee. A home constructed in 1837, nearly lost to the ravages of war. Saved by a servant and a Confederate general. A place where families loved and lost. If walls could talk, what stories could be told? If a place, a home, can feel love, loss, pain, surely this is one of those places. Nearby is a more recent structure, and inside are the stories of heroes and heroines, stories of battles won and lost, stories of sacrifices made by the people of its native soil. A place that will tell the true and complete story of the Southland and the war fought for its freedom. From the causes that led to the conflict to the modern-day struggles to protect Southern history. Historic Elm Springs and the Confederate Museum at Elm Springs are the general headquarters for the Sons of Confederate Veterans. A place where the story of the Southland and its historic struggle is preserved and told. Come and discover your history.
Now that is impressive. Now I'm glad that I'm going to segue right into something right now. As you should have gotten, those of you who are on SCV Telegraph, you should have gotten a message on SCV Telegraph today about sending, using our one-click politic to contact your senators and representatives, encouraging them to support the Secretary of Defense and his efforts to rename or to put the proper name to our historic battle, our military bases, to restore the right of Southern National Guard units to use their battle honor banners that they won during the war between the states, and also the restoration of the Arlington Reconciliation Monument. I have in front of me a letter, and I'm going to kind of see if I can hold it. This is a letter that was sent, and I'm just showing that because it's on our stationery, and I want y'all to see that. And look down there, there's a QR code down that stationery. This is the letter that was sent to the Secretary of Defense back at the end of January. And that QR code goes to that If Walls Could Talk video. So he has gotten this letter. And if you've gotten your one-click politic, you'll notice the verbiage, not the, I don't have the logo and everything on there. It wouldn't take that, but the verbiage of this letter is on that one-click politic. I'm encouraging you. I'm just asking, I'm pleading with you, get people to use that one-click politic, and let's let our congressmen and senators know that we're out there. The SCV is busy. The SCV is pushing this effort, and that the people of the South, we are the ones who, listen, folks, I don't know if y'all know this or not, but right at between 54 and 58% of the electoral votes that the current president received came from Southern states. And I'm including, obviously, Oklahoma, West Virginia in those Southern states, because West Virginia is a Southern state. But all the Southern states, we gave the president more than half of his electoral votes. Now it's time for them to turn around and say, okay, Southerners, we understand. This letter, if you read that letter, it lets the Secretary of Defense and the congressman who will read it, let them know what the South has done for this nation after the war. So take a look at that. Get involved with that one-click politic, and let's get that moving, because this is how we make a difference. And complaining about things won't do any good. Action is what matters, and this is part of what we're doing in SCV to go on the offensive. Okay, another thing that we're doing is we've got some billboards that's going to go up around the Confederation come April, and I'm going to ask our Lieutenant Commander-in-Chief, Tony Griffin, if you'll just give us a little bit of an update on what's going on with our billboard ads. And Harrison, if you'll get ready with the photos of the billboard and the yard sign, we'll probably use those in a minute.
Okay, as y'all know, I'm promoting billboards across Confederation. I'm offering $500 out of my recruiting and retention budget to each division that'll put up a billboard. And so Virginia's been doing it now. This is our 3rd year and 4th billboard campaign, and we're putting up 8 by the division this year and 1 by a couple of brigades that have gone together. So we got 9 signs going up. Wow. Louisiana and Bobby Heron down there in Donnie's area is I think y'all are putting up 5 or 6. And 6 the last one was an electronic billboard down somewhere that's getting put up. So right there is 15 billboards getting put up. And I've heard from, besides Virginia and Louisiana, I've heard from 10 other divisions so far, and every southern state except for 1, and a couple of the border states, and California. So they're all checking into it. Some of them have already contacted Lamar and are dealing with them now. So hopefully y'all take advantage of this and get this $500 to help out with that. If you get the invoice done, once you paid for it, you can send it to me and Adam Southern, and we'll get that money back to reimburse y'all. And hopefully we'll have every state in the South covered, along with California, maybe a few others going out there. But also, Moose, could you put the picture up there?
Yes, sir.
As you see there, that's called our landing page at scb-info.org. Army of Trans-Mississippi Councilman and past Commander-in-Chief Chuck McMichael has got that website set up for us. So it's a landing page for people that are interested in joining can go to without having to try to decipher our regular website. So hopefully y'all be seeing these signs spread out around the Confederation, from Florida all the way up to Maryland and through Kentucky and Tennessee and Texas. Everybody, please take advantage of this and get involved. And hopefully this turns into an excellent project, and I'll be happy to do it again next year.
There you go. And remember, folks, billboards, they do not win you a lot of membership automatically. What they do is give you name recognition, makes it easier for you to recruit and retain people. And it's just like our flag parks. And Moose, you have those pictures, those flag parks, throw those up there. I think I had about 4 or 5 of them. Look, this is one in Tennessee. Just go roll through them if you would, Moose. These are beautiful flag parks that we have all across the Confederation. Those 2 are in Tennessee, and I think I've got a couple others in there if we can get them all rolling. But the point I'm making is that, look, this is the one that hang loose. This is one, I think, Commander Calvin Hart and Commander Chris Button in Jacksonville are putting together. You see, they've got the scaffolding around, and they're still working on that sucker, but it is a beautiful monument, and they've done an excellent job there relocating and putting up a monument. So let's move again to, I think I've got another one of Commander Hart and Commander Bunton. We can move it. There you go. This is still part of that park. You'll see there's several monuments that they have out there, and right behind Commander Bunton and Commander Hart, you'll see that's an interstate. That's a major interstate there. And it's got a beautiful flagpole, a flag flying there. So they're seeing a lot of people will see that. Roll on. I think we got another one. I think now this is a new one that was put up in Georgia earlier this year. And not only is it just a monument, they got a beautiful big flagpole out there. It's at a major intersection, state highway, and roll on another one. Harrison, let's just keep going here. This is the one that we relocated from Shreveport to the battlefield at Pleasant Hill. Listen, folks, coming this year, hopefully, Lord willing, this year, if not this year, be early next year, we will have the Forest Plaza restored. When we do that, we're going to have a national event letting the world know that those people take them down, we put them back up. But it's not just the Forest Plaza that we're going to talk about. The Forest Plaza is more or less the eye candy that gets the people interested, especially politicians and news media interested. So they'll come and we can tell them about all these monuments that we, the Sons of Confederate Veterans, are putting up. The flag part, Tony up in Virginia, y'all got a beautiful part that Ron and Jason was part of dedicating that, I think year before last. There are these flag parks and new monuments and monuments that we've saved. They're all across the South. We need to let the world know that, hey, they destroyed a few, but we put up a heck of a lot more, and we've got pretty things to show off. Now, these flag parks and these billboards, these monuments, they will not speak for themselves. And in and of itself, they will not get you members, but it will make it easier for you to recruit members. And it will tell, if you'll use the tools that we're giving you through this Confederate Legion, you can tell people in the local area why they should be proud of their Southern heritage. Moose, show me that picture of the yard sign, I believe, because, all right, this is the old URL. We're going to have the new URL on this, but this is a prototype of yard signs that we will have available. If all goes well, we'll have this available by the GEC meeting in the 8th of March. And these can be bought for $8 a piece. They're two-sided, and they've got the metal stand that you just push in the ground, and you can leave them in your yard, or you can put them at intersections. I'll put some in my yard, but my yard is out in the woods, so I'll just go to the intersection and put them in the intersection. We're going to do this during April. And I'm going to get Moose, Harrison Daws, our Deputy Chief of Heritage Operation. We're going to get a little video about Confederate veterans for the April event. So we'll have social media, we'll have radio ads, we're going to have some print ads that's going to be made available for your camp to run in local newspapers. We're going to have all these billboards going out. We'll have yard signs. We're going to let the world know who we are and that we're proud to be Sons of Confederate Veterans. I was talking to past Commander-in-Chief Brochures today, and he said, Donnie, what we're doing is making Confederacy, making the fact that you're a Confederate, making it okay now. For the last 4 to 12 years, it's been an insult to call somebody a Confederate. We're making it not only okay, we're making it honorable. People will be proud of their Southern heritage, but we're the ones who are going to make the difference. Now, before you think that we won the battle, I'm going to tell you, the enemy has not given up. Paul, if you know anything, you can bring us up to date on some of the activity going on in the legislature in South Carolina that may be indicating that the wokesters have not given up.
Yes, we have a bill that was filed, House Bill 3132. It was put forward by Rutherford, who's the House Minority Leader, and it was later signed on by Mr. Grant, who's on the Committee on Education and Public Works, which is the committee that it has to go through before it would come back to the Senate, to the House, and then it would have to be reconciled with the Senate. But the long and short of it is that they don't want the Sons of Confederate Veterans to be able to have their own license tags. So I don't think there's an appetite for it, but I could be wrong. I've underestimated these people many times. But I haven't talked to the division commander yet about any strategies, but it's something that has not been widely published. I have a web search for news. Anything that has the SCV in it, period, comes to my mailbox every day, so that I know what's going on. And this is one that showed up. It wasn't in a major publication either. It was pre-filed. It has been referred to a committee. Last year, it was killed in the committee. I learned that it had been put forward one time. Yeah. But the issue is that they don't want to have a license tag with a Confederate battle flag on it. But of course, that's our logo. That's the SCV logo, and it has been since the turn of over 100 years. We have stationery that goes back to 1910 with it on. So if we have stationery, they had to print it before that. And so we're going back a good ways, from maybe all the way to the beginning, for all I know. So it's in the Code of Laws. There's these little chunks of passages where various groups have gotten permission, and of course the rule is you have to have 400 people and this, that, and the other. But the long and short of it is that there are many fraternal orders that have license tags here in South Carolina. Many of them are, exclusively, traditionally Black fraternities. And there's all kinds of tag. We got a Hunley tag, but I just, this is very important because I just don't know how much more. There ought to be a way to capture this in a way that says, look, they took the flag down off the dome. Then they took the flag down by the Soldiers Monument, which was a clear memorial flag, properly placed and duly agreed to by the General Assembly. They took that, and now they want to take the little flag on our license tag as Sons of Confederate Veterans. So it's an attack on the Sons of Confederate Veterans. I don't think these people know any Sons of Confederate Veterans, but I hope to be able to speak to them, of course, with the permission of the division commander. I'd like to sit down and talk to them. I don't know what, it's a ridiculous and silly law, and it's a ridiculous and silly. I mean, everybody knows if you can get a flag put down, you can get your leftist bona fides or right to the right too. Nikki Haley is a good example of that. So, I mean, how much more? Yeah. Well, if I had a billboard that I could put up in South Carolina, I would say, how much more?
Yeah. Well, the main thing I want to make sure everybody understands, and I'm going to ask Tony if he has anything to add to this, because I know in Virginia, the UDC, I believe, last I heard, it was a bill filed to take the tax exempt status away from the UDC again. Have you heard anything else about that, Tony?
It's not just the UDC. It's anything that has to do with Confederate stuff. Everything. Okay. It's got Sons of Confederate Veterans listed in there. Jeb Stuart Home Place, Stratford Hall, I think, was on there. Any of it, and it's going to get through. And I think it may have already gone to the governor's desk. If it hasn't, it will be shortly. But last year, Governor Youngkin vetoed it, and he'll have to veto it again this year, because if he doesn't take any action, it goes into law. So we're hoping again that he'll veto it. But we also have state elections this year for governor and the House of Delegates and some of the Senate. So it's going to be interesting here in Virginia come next January.
Well, hopefully he won't have the appetite for it.
There you go. Well, and one thing about that y'all, the Virginia, if you SCV, if you need to use this one-click politic, if that's something y'all want to use, by all means, it belongs to all of us, not just the headquarters. So, but the main thing I want folks to realize, things have changed a lot, but the enemy is still there, and they're still on the attack. So we're running out of time here, and I want to get right quick to the Forest Plaza and talk a little bit about the 21st century Confederate heroes. We're pushing that effort on because we want the Forest Plaza. We still need some more financing for that. We're up to about, it depends on who you talk to and which estimate you get, but anywhere from 70 to 80% funded for the restoration project. But the longer we wait, the more it's going to cost because prices keep going up. So I'm encouraging everyone to continue to push this 21st century Confederate heroes effort. Let's get that funds in there. Let's get this plaza put back together, and let's have this great event that will tell the world who we are. Now, in the next week, and starting sometime next week, Ron Kennedy and myself, we will be calling everybody that's on the list. If you're on the list as a 21st century Confederate hero individual, either paid in full or making payments, we are going to be calling you, and we've got 5 things we want to find out. Now, please don't think that tomorrow you're going to get a phone call from me. These phone calls, and you know how us Southerners are, we get on the phone, we might talk instead of 3 minutes, we might talk 30 minutes. But what we want to do is call, let's just say I call Harrison, Mr. Harrison Daws. Mr. Daws, I need to find out, do you have your neck ribbon? That's the neck ribbon that you get for whether you paid in full or you made a down payment, at least $100 down payment, and you're paying that off, that you should have your neck ribbon. If you hadn't, I'm going to check a little box here so we can get it to you. The second thing, I'm going to ask, do you have your certificate? If you paid in full, you get a certificate, and you don't get the certificate until you paid in full. Do you have a form to fill out for our paver? Because we have a walkway with pavers on there, the walkway of 21st century Confederate heroes, and you'll have whatever information you want on there, memorialize a friend, a family member, a Confederate veteran, or a Confederate unit, whatever you want. There's a form that we're going to be sure that you have. If you don't have that form, I'll check that off and I'll get that to you. Then I have 2 other things I want to make sure that you have. Do you have an example of the page that will go in our book? We have a book of 21st century Confederate heroes. We have an example of what that page looks like, so you can take that example and fill out your own for that book. And then also we'll have an example of what the PowerPoint slide is going to look like for your ancestors. Now, everybody doesn't have to participate in this. A lot of people say, well, I don't want mine on there, but at headquarters, when you walk in, we will have a rotating PowerPoint thing that's showing those people who are bought into this 21st century Confederate heroes. It'll show and like I say, you'll have an example of what this looks like, and then you can fill out, create your own, or get with us and we can help you create your own. So those things will be coming starting next week. Now there's 2 people I've got to say thank you to for their work that they're doing on this, and that is past Commander-in-Chief Broshears. He has been in the trenches helping us with this effort. And also, of course, Ron Kennedy. Without Ron, I don't think I could do half of what I've been doing. So Ron and Jason has been really helping on this project to make sure it works, and we're going to get all the bugs worked out of it. And one of the ways we're going to do that is by contacting everybody. It'll be by phone. I'm not going to call you after 9 o'clock at night, but I'm not going to call you before 9 o'clock in the morning, because you may be like past Commander-in-Chief Paul Graham that don't get up till noon or so. So I hope he listens to this and hears that. I've used to call him, and I always made sure I call him between 9 and 10. And I say, have you had your first cup of coffee, Commander? Oh, yeah. Okay, let's go then. So anyway, you will be getting either Ron or myself will be making those calls. Now, it's going to take a while, folks. I can't, we've got probably 200 or more people to call right now. So it's going to take a while, but we're going to work through that list until everybody, I'm assured that everybody's got everything they need since they joined the Confederate Legion, 21st Century Confederate Heroes. So folks, look for that, listen for that phone call, and you'll know what it's about when we're calling you, and we want to get that done and move things along. So that being said, all I can say now is, folks, we're in this battle. It's a war, and we're fighting. It looks good right now, but remember, anything that Mr. Trump has done positive that makes it easier for us, the next go around, it could be just as bad, if not worse. And as Paul and Tony have shown us, those people have not gone away. They're still out there, so we must be active. If you're not for the Confederate Legion, join the Confederate Legion. Go to some of these training sessions and help us promote the cause of the South. Those flags will not tell people what they're about. The enemy will tell your children and your neighbors what that flag represents from their vantage point. We've got to be busy getting that information out to the general public. We can do that with the tools that we provided through the SCV. Those parks and those flags and those monuments are great. It only gives us an opportunity to tell the world what that flag represents, why that park is important, and what that monument memorializes. So with that said, gentlemen, it is 8 o'clock Louisiana time. Gentlemen, Harrison, Tony, Paul, do y'all have anything else you need to add?
Yeah, I'd like to add, I told you I had a ongoing thing with my messages. One just popped up. The cemeteries were targeted at Stone Mountain and were spray painted apparently yesterday. Yeah. And so we've got some opposition down there at Stone Mountain, but they're cleaning it, and they're looking to charge the folks with some kind of crime. But that just popped up. So they still like red spray paint.
Yeah. All right. Good enough. All right. Anything else, gentlemen? I want to thank each of you, every one of y'all. The three of you gentlemen are really great to work with, and you just don't know how much I appreciate working with the three of y'all. And I appreciate Commander Machael Hurley coming on and helping us out and giving us an update. And I'm looking forward to seeing y'all at the GEC meeting in March the 8th, if you can make it there. And if not, we will see you sometime between now and then. If not then, we'll see you in Houston. All right, Brother Harrison, you can take us out, sir. We are through.
Yes, sir. Make sure to share this out to your camp, brigade, divisions, Army. Send it to everybody that you know in the SCV. Make sure to get this information out there, people. Also, make sure to tune in Monday for your weekly episode of SCV Chat. And hopefully, if I can get in quick enough tomorrow from work, we'll have a special edition of Look Around, because y'all have been sending in so much news, and that is a great thing and a great problem to have. Great. So make sure to share this out and tune into all our stuff. And until next time, stay Southern, my friends. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.